All right, I am really, really excited about today's unboxing because there's a book in there in this submission that I got back from CGC that I may never hold in my hands again. I may never work on again in my life. It's that hard to find this book because I think there were only something like 3,000 copies printed originally. So we'll get to that one last. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other books first. We've got a Marvel Tales number 236, a McFarlane cover, I believe. Yep, McFarlane right there. Newsstand edition. Very, very hard to get in 9.8 from what I understand, but we did get the 9.6 white pages. I think we're happy with the 9.6 or 9.8 on this book. It did start as a raw, approximately about near mint minus, I would say. Something like that. Maybe very fine near mint. Somewhere in that range. And so we're happy to get it up to the 9.6. Obviously, we would love to get 9.8 on this book, but I just don't, I think it was an outside chance more than anything. So 9.6 we will take. And next one is another McFarlane book, Amazing Spider-Man 307. Newsstand edition, very, very infinitely hard to get in 9.8. I believe I do have a 9.8, but I don't think it's a newsstand. Where is that thing? Maybe I don't have that one. Maybe this is one of the ones I'm still looking for. So I don't. Oh, actually, I do have it. It's direct. It's up there on the wall. I could have just counted in order because I have them in order on the wall. I don't know why I was looking over there, but yeah, it's up here on the wall, 9.8. But it is the direct version. Newsstand. That's a whole nother creature. Yeah, so very happy to get the 9.6 white pages. I think the owner does want the 9.8. But we'll certainly take the 9.6 as a placeholder until he's able to get that 9.8. Same deal on it. Started as about a near mint minus. I think I had this one at actually very fine plus, very fine near mint, somewhere in that range. So a little bit more difficult to get the 9.6. So very, very happy about that. Now, when you see this one, you might be thinking, yeah, this is that big book he was talking about, right? No. It's that next one's got to be a pretty big book. If this one is the smaller, I guess in value-wise, of the two books. Not a whole lot, though, really. Depends on what the grade is, I guess. And I do know the grade on this one. I guess I'm just trying to create suspense for no reason, but we'll just say it's a high-grade copy, right? And that's pretty obvious just from looking at it, right? I mean, you look at the spine. This is one of the nicest, probably oh, why am I showing you that side? That's not the spine. So there's the spine. So it's probably the second nicest copy I've ever looked at, but I don't know. It's pretty close between and that wasn't that long ago. I've been having a lot of luck on both Hulk 181s and Amazing Spider-Man 129s. First Hulk and first Punisher. I've just been killing it on those books. I've gotten several 9.6s. I think in the last couple of years, 3 9.8s on the ASM 129s and several 9.6s on this one. And even Giant Size X-Men 1, I've gotten 3 9.8s on and a few 9.6s and 4s. So on the bigger books, I've just been very lucky to get super high grades. Of course, we've had great candidates to get those grades. It's not just luck. It's we're cleaning and pressing, we're finding good candidates, that type of thing. And most of those weren't my books anyway. I would say only half of those books were mine. And I have never had a high-grade copy of this for myself just because it's out of my price range. I can't drop $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 all the time to try and go for one of those 9.6, 9.8s. Maybe one day, if I keep working, I'm drinking milk, that type of thing, and maybe I'll get there one day. But yeah, back to this book. This is not my book. This one was a 9.4 slab. I hope I put that right. I think it was a 9.4 slab. So it looked like a great candidate inside the case, everything. I think it still was. But once I took the book out, I mean, it's like beer goggles being inside a bag or a case, bag and board or case. It was rough. This thing was bent, had foxing, all kinds of stuff going on that I could not see through the slab very well. So I think this thing was overgraded. I think 9.4 is like ridiculous for this book before I worked on it. I think it was more like an 8.0. Maybe even 7.0 if you consider the significance of the bends. But the bones were great. As far as but it just took some work. It took a heck of a lot of work on this book. I probably put more work into this book than I would say I don't even know, 10 or 15 books probably could be done at the same time that I was working on this one. That's how significant it was. But we persevered and we got through it. I was actually just hoping to retain the grade on this one, the 9.4, but we did get the bump. And that's a pretty big bump. I think 9.4 is somewhere in the 10,000 range and a 9.6 in the 16,000 range. I'm not sure exactly. Both giant books. So we did actually get the book, and I was just hoping to retain the grade. I think the owner was okay with just, we'll, have a better presenting copy of the same grade. And I think several people that send me books are not all about the bumps. They're all about the presentation of the book, whether they get a bump or not. I've had people send me 4.0s, 5.0s, 6.0s, just saying, just make this book look better. Most of the time we've gotten the bumps on those books. Not huge ones a lot of the time, but, mission accomplished on getting the better presentation. And it's just gravy when you get the bump as well so, you are talking to like old-timey like collectors that really are more just into the books and less about the grades and the money. Although the money's great when you get the bumps or whatever. But that's really what this hobby's all about, is just making these books, getting them back to the way they looked, renewing them again, if you will. So, yeah, I'm very happy. So, now let's get on to the big book, right? Okay, I was thrilled when I got this book in, when the owner contacted me. And, it's just one of those maybe once in a lifetime experiences to be able to work on this book. This is a first print. Not only is it a first print, it's a signed first print. I don't know when Eastman signed this book, but it's on the inside cover. And I think I have a picture. I will throw that on the screen here. I'm almost 100% sure I have that somewhere. I will throw it on the screen. And he also did a remark on it. So it's got the little sketch, and it's also got his signature inside the cover. And I don't know when that was, but it looked like it was a long time ago. Probably sometime in the 90s, I would guess. I think the owner actually told me he bought this book in New York at the con early 90s for about $300 or $400. And he was hesitant to buy it then because it has these bindery printing streaks. These are not defects that were done after the book was printed. If anybody's ever held one of these books knows the paper quality was terrible. It was done in the guy's garage, right? I mean, they weren't thinking this was going to be some big deal, or maybe they did. I don't know. But they didn't print it on the highest quality stuff. So I think there were only about 3,000 copies printed originally. And so, yeah, it had these streaks. So that was the big unknown. It had thumb bends, which broke color. Had a pretty bad, not bad. I mean, what am I talking about? It had a crunch. Definitely not a 9.8 book, let's put it that way. And so it was an 8.0 about when I got it in. And I was hoping for 9.0. I was hoping to get the bump, which is pretty significant. Put a ton of time. I did not press this book a ton of times. I did a lot of manual repairs because I did not want to put it through the press over and over again. Adding moisture, all that stuff. I wanted to try and keep it as original as far as... I just didn't want to overhydrate the book. Let's put it that way. It scares me to death on super valuable books like this to overdo it, I guess. So I would rather do like my manual repair process, which is very, very, it's very low risk. Let's put it that way. So yeah, what did we get on it? We got the 9.2, which I think is the last signed copy, 9.2, was something like $28,000 or something. So who knows what this book is worth now? I think unsigned 24 was the last sale. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure exactly. I don't really look at the values because I knew this was a super valuable, but a lot of the books I work on, I don't really know the values. I mean, obviously Hulk 181s, but I get a lot of books that are kind of more obscure, for me anyways, as a collector. I don't even want to know the values a lot of the time. I know probably it's worth more than 1,000, so I submitted unlimited value. But I don't obviously want to know, hey, this book's worth $100,000, and then I'm shaking the whole time I'm working on it. Just kidding. I mean, probably not. I've worked on enough books now that's not going to happen. But to me, it's not all about the value. It's about the book itself. So I treat every book like it's a $100,000 book. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say here. So thrilled beyond belief to have worked on this book. Thank you, owner of this book, for giving me that opportunity. I will obviously cherish that forever. Hopefully I do get to work on another one of these. If anybody has one out there, I would love to help you out and make it look as pretty as possible. So actually, that's it for today. There's nothing else I can say. I mean, just let that book speak for itself. So let me know in the comments, do you have this book? Have you ever held one of these books? Did you miss out on one of these that you could have purchased? Is it kind of a painful memory? Oh, when I was a kid, there was a train shop, Lionel trains, that type of thing, hobby shop, right next to a comic book store. And I would go to both. And funny enough, the comic book store didn't have this book, but the train store, the hobby shop, had 2 copies of this book. It was in Ocala, Florida, I think. That's where I'm from, Central Florida. But I think it was Ocala, Florida, is where these books, maybe it was just outside Ocala. Anyway, I was 10, 11. I'm not sure. What is this, it was 1984, late 84 or early 85. I can't remember exactly. So I would have been about 10 or 11 years old. And they had 2, and I think they had a price for $200 each because the book was already hot back then. And my mom was like, she kept saying it over and over again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, she couldn't believe that this actually existed and was a thing. So she was making fun of it. But the owner of the hobby shop said, if you want an investment, I recommend getting this book right here. And he talked about low print runs and all that stuff. As a kid, I'm just collecting. Obviously, I'm keeping my books nice. I was kind of OCD even then. So for keeping books nice, bagged and board and all that stuff. But as far as values, that type of thing, not so much. But yeah, amazing stuff. I wish I had been like a rich kid. We could have, let's just drop $400 and buy 2 copies. Because they were obviously brand new. Probably would be 9.6, 9.8 range right now. Because I would have taken care of them, I'm sure. Just like I did all of my other childhood books that got in that range. 9.6, 9.8s. And a bunch of them I still have. So, but yeah, do you have a story like that? Obviously, do you have one where you saw it at con like the early 2000s for under $1,000 or something like that and you could have picked it up? Yeah, I think we all would be. I mean, you could name 10,000 grails out there that we all could have missed out on at some point, right? So that's it today. Thanks for watching. Stay nerdy. I'll see you in the next video.